Over the last couple of years, V and I have become slightly less interested in the wild party life of Las Vegas, and we have instead gravitated more towards finding out what adventures it and the surrounding areas have to offer. When we heard about a place called Rail Explorers that was only about 30 minutes off the strip in Boulder City, we knew we had to get out there and check it out. This attraction is located at the Nevada State Railroad Museum and actually shares the tracks with real trains. In fact, if you do the tour known as the Southwest Ramble, which we will be doing in this video, you'll be pedaling out 4 miles and riding the train back. We drove all the way in from Southern California this day, so we set ourselves to arrive about 2 hours early because we didn't want to miss our appointment. That actually ended up working in our favor though, because little did we know, there's a lot to see and do here. After checking in, we spotted this neat little handcart, which was a full-size version of a little toy that I used to have running around our Christmas tree. It was definitely cool to see a real one, and we also got our first look at the train cars that we would be riding on in a little bit. They come in a 2 and 4 seat version. It was just us this day, so we ended up getting the smaller one. After that, we were off to explore the rest of the museum. If you have even the slightest amount of love towards model railroads, this next part is going to make you very happy. Inside this train car, there is not only 1, but 2 very fancy model train displays. I wouldn't exactly put myself in the model railroad fanatic category, but I don't think that you need to be to understand and appreciate just how much work that these guys have put into these displays. This cityscape that they've built is almost a little bit overwhelming, to be honest, and you probably want to leave yourself some time to actually look through everything and find all the miniature details. You can definitely tell that these guys put a ton of time into this display, so we were more than happy to leave a little tip as we headed off to explore more of the museum. One cool thing about this part of the museum is that these are not replicas, these are the real deal. The caboose on the left was built way back in 1882, and number 264 on the right was built in 1907. There are tons of informational signs on the trains, and it was just really fascinating to see how they got things done way back in the day. Since it was the weekend and we still had a little more time to kill before our reservation, we decided that we might as well take a ride on the train and check out the route that we would be pedaling down in a little bit. The tickets to ride the train were quite cheap, and we even got to decide if we wanted an indoor or an outdoor car. We opted for the outdoor car when we went because the temperatures were pretty mild and it gave us the chance to lean out the window and check out the view. Before we knew it, we were off on our short trip across the open desert. The train is a great option if you are not physically able to take part in the Rail Explorers experience. And it's also great if you just have someone in your group that's not able to, because at the turnaround point we did pick up everyone that had pedaled out. So if you time it right, you can always have someone ride out on the train, meet you at the end, and you can all ride back together. After a nice smooth ride through the desert, as I mentioned before, it was time to pick up all the Rail Explorer people and head back to the station. On the way back to the station, we spotted the unofficial greeter of these tracks. His name is George, so if you see him, be sure to say hi. And another thing you should definitely do is have a conversation with the guides on board. They have an absolute ton of information. One cool fact is that this is the exact track that they used in the building of the Hoover Dam, so you're actually riding on a piece of history. As the bikes rolled back into the station, I couldn't help but notice that they were facing the wrong direction, so I had to go and figure out how they got turned back around. It was a pretty genius little system that they had, and they had all the bikes turned around and ready to go in no time. We would be starting our ride with all of the cars being linked together. There are some legal reasons, and it just helps everyone get out of the station together. After all the cars were ready, they gathered everyone around for a small safety briefing and to go over how to control the cars. Obviously, steering is not a problem here because you can't control that. But it is important to know that the person that sits in the front right seat does have a very important job. Not only are they the only ones that can control the brakes, which is a small squeezable lever similar to a bicycle, but their pedals are also the only ones that can engage the electric motor. That's right, these bad boys are e-bikes. After heading about 100 yards down the track, we stopped so that we could all be unlinked. They were also nice enough to take pictures of everyone before we headed off on our journey. After that, it was time to hit the road, or tracks. As we pedal our way along, here are some facts about Rail Explorers. Even though this particular experience has only been open since 2019, the company's actually been around since 2015. At the moment, Rail Explorers has 4 locations. This is, however, the only location on the West Coast. Besides Las Vegas, there are 2 locations in New York and 1 in Rhode Island. V and I were kind of expecting a nice leisurely pedal through the desert, but when we saw the car behind us gaining on us rapidly, our competitive sides kicked in and we started pedaling like we were in the Tour de France. I had my GPS tracker on, and with the help of the electric motors, we ended up hitting a top speed of somewhere around 16 miles an hour. This was definitely a unique experience, and it was like nothing we had done before. I was really starting to embody this train lifestyle. One last interesting fact about Rail Explorers is the unique way that the owners got the inspiration for it. Owners Alex and Mary actually saw a similar contraption while watching one of Mary's favorite Korean dramas. Similar unpowered versions of these cars have existed since the 1850s. But Mary was excited to bring them up to the modern era with the use of the electric motors. After a quick trip to Korea, Rail Explorers was born. At this point, our time pedaling had come to an end. After racing the car behind us, we were definitely tired and ready for a break. They supplied us with umbrellas to use for shade while we waited for the train, but it was a little breezy and I was kind of expecting V to blow away like Mary Poppins. We highly recommend bringing an ice chest with drinks, both for the ride and for this nice little rest stop. They even have a nice little compartment on the pedal car for your ice chest and bags. Another note is that the train ride back to the station only happens on the weekends. If you come during the week, you're going to be pedaling out and back for a grand total of 8 miles. If you're looking for a much more substantial workout, this might be the route for you, but we definitely appreciated the ride back. V and I would like to send a huge thank you out to Rail Explorers. We had an amazing time with you and we will definitely be back. If you enjoy our adventures, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because those are the best things that you can do to support this channel. Check us out on Instagram at thatadventurelife_official. And for all the information about Rail Explorers as well as other awesome things to do around Las Vegas, head on over to thatadventurelife.com.